Well, I see the kids been out here playing again. Oh my, oh my, oh my. What are we gonna do, y'all? What are we gonna do, huh? Well, you guys can see where we're at and what we're doing. We're out here at the main patch, and for all of you who are new to the channel, we'll have to throw up some drone shots there, so you can see all of the patch, all the big one and all the little side patches that we have. It's still just a touch too damp out here to start broad forking. We want to come out here and we want to broad fork and put a cover crop. As you can see, our cover crop did not do so well. A couple reasons why is one, I didn't get to till it because it was raining so much. I didn't get to broad fork it or till it into the soil. So I just kind of threw it out there hoping it would grow. And, well, birds. That's all you can say is birds. So birds come by and ate it. That's one reason why it didn't do so good. The other reason why is whatever was in there, it got drowned out. Just way, way, way too wet this winter. It just rained and rained and rained and rained and rained, and it's still raining. You know, we're still having rain every other day or so. But today, what we want to talk to you guys about, some of the most important things as a grower, a giant grower, particularly, some of the most important things that you're going to want to do to ensure a good, healthy plant and success at the end of the season. All right. So stay tuned for that. We're going to come to you from right here in the hollers and hills of West Virginia, giving you some of the best tips that we've got on our third year coming up of growing these massive, massive pumpkins and having fun doing it. You don't want to miss this. So just as I said, we're going to bring you guys along and talk about some of the most important things you, as a grower, whether you're new or you're old, should be doing every year. Okay? We're going to talk about the first one, soil tests. Soil tests. You need to do a soil test. Even if you're a new grower, I highly encourage you to do at least a soil test through your local extension office. You know, you don't have to pay the $55 or $65 to get your soil tested at Western Labs or anything like that. But you are going to want to get a soil test, okay? And I highly recommend that you do that. Now, we're going to talk about this in some detail, okay? First off, let me show you what we got going on here. See, we have got moss growing in our patch. Yeah, moss. Couldn't hardly believe it myself, but there it is. It's moss. And I'm thinking, why do I have moss growing in my patch? And it's pretty prolific here. You can see it's covering quite a bit of it. Not quite the cover crop you want to see. Why do I have moss in here, you say? Well, I got to looking at it, and I thought, man, I've never grown moss in this patch before. It's third year planting in this patch, and I've never seen moss, never grew any moss. So what's the deal? I get to looking around online and found and then ask a grower as well, and sure enough, it's because it's compacted and not getting enough air. So yeah, that's another reason to be broad forking this stuff. All right, you need good loose soil. This soil has been amended. This soil has been added lots of things to it. We've added compost to it. We've added leaves to it. We've added mulch, and we've added the wood chips. We've added grass. We've added everything you can think of to keep this soil fluffy. And while it is, look, I mean, like you can see there, I mean, I can leave a nice little footprint there, just walking in it, right? It's kind of loose, but it's not loose enough to where it's not going to grow moss. There's not enough air in this soil. So, and I know that, and I see the effects of it during the season because I get really, really big roots coming up to the top, and they'll just be veined all out. They look like a bunch of veins crawling all over, little white, veins crawling all over the top of my soil, and I know that it's because of that. And here's the other thing: it's staying way too wet in here. Again, another sign of having a lot of rain is this moss. It's just been way too wet in here. So we have got to get this soil draining better this season. We have to get it with more air in it. Okay, so we're going to be doing lots of different things, and we're going to talk about it. I'm going to take you into the woods right now. We're going to show you some stuff and talk about the reasons why you need to be using some of your own leaves from around your own property or local. Okay, so let's go do that real quick. I'm going to come down here in the woods and I'll take a little look around real quick and get over here by one of these trees and show you guys why you need to be collecting your own leaves and stuff, and even going to the extent of maybe taking your lawnmower over with a bagger, making sure you got the majority of the big sticks out of the way and rocks, and using your lawnmower and bagger to collect some of these leaves and mulch them up into smaller, finer pieces. So let's see here. We need a nice tree here. I think we got a pretty decent one here. Let's see. It's not that they're all not the same, just trying to find something that ain't got a lot of stuff growing around it so you can get down here to the dirt and look. So y'all see all this nice dirt down here? Look how nice that is, okay? I mean, that stuff's dark. It's rich, and it's got lots and lots and lots of life in that, okay? And we can take the other, I mean, you can see the top layers even, you can see it's good. There's a lot of life in here. This is a very healthy tree growing right here, and it's doing really well. And the reason why it's doing so well is right here. All of this right here is every year the leaves, okay, are falling off the tree. They're landing on the ground. They're decomposing. They're the mycelium, which is your local beneficials, okay? The stuff that's indigenous to your area is growing right here, okay? And like I talked to you before about talking with the marijuana growers, they said that what I was doing was an absolute great thing by taking these leaves and taking the surrounding. Even if I was to be able to get some of this soil from around here, right? If there was an embankment full of soil, which there is several embankments full of soil that are very loose, you can just grab it and go. Even if you were to take some of that and put up there on the beds or the patches, you would be doing very, very well, right? Because you'd be getting the indigenous microbiology that's here. Now, I also use other things like azos, mycorrhiza, um, let me see, lactobacilluses and stuff like that. And they help. They do. They help a lot, and they do a lot for you. But you really can't, look, but you really can't look over being able to get your own stuff right here from your own woods. Right. This is your own microbiology. It's indigenous to your area and your area only. All right. And all you got to do is look on the back of leaves, know where some's at. You flip those leaves over and you'll see white stuff on the back of those leaves, and that white stuff is your mycelium. All right, so let me go see if I can find some of it, guys. So scrape back just a little bit here. You guys can see we have some mycelium right in here. See it right there, tip of my shoulder. Just gently rake back some of the leaves here, and you'll see it all over some of this stuff here. Let me see here. Yeah, there's some of it on the leaves there. Just gotta be real careful where you scrape, because I want to cover this all back. See right there was some right there. Shovel blade right there. So there's a lot of it here. All right, and you just take that and you apply it, like right there, some right there. Here's some more right there. Look at all that. Look at all that. See that right there? All of that right there. All right, you're gonna take all that, and you can actually cultivate it if you wanted. I'm not privy to the whole way that it's done, but you can absolutely do that. But these leaves are going to have that on there. So when I come over here with my rake, or my lawnmower, and I mow into this stuff, I'm going to be mowing that up and the leaves up, and all that has it, and we're going to be collecting that stuff and taking it back to our patch. Right, there's some more. Look there. There's some more right there. There's some more right there. Look at that. See it there? So you're going to be able to get quite a bit of it, all right, and take it back. Like I said, take it back to your patch and grow it. And, it'll stay right there on your patch, so as long as it has something to eat, and is able to thrive in your soil, right? So anyhow, I wanted to show you that real quick. Let's go back and talk about more things that we need to do to have a successful season. Okay, guys, so we've already talked about your soil biology, testing your soil. We need to mention, soil amendments. Okay, so you're going to get that soil test back. You're going to, probably give it to somebody who knows how to work a soil calculator. I encourage you, though, to reach out to me. If you don't have a soil calculator or you don't know what it is, reach out to me. I will email you the soil calculator by Cecil Weston, I think is who came up with it. I'll email you that link and stuff so you guys can have that for your own. Now, I will not do them for you as far as soil calculation, because I'm still learning. Once I get the hang of it and I understand, I certainly would do them for you, but I have to understand it well enough to do it for you, and I'm still learning and playing with it. So we're not going to offer that just yet, but you are going to want to take that soil test, and you're going to want to send it to somebody who knows what they're doing, and can punch in a soil calculator and tell you what you need to add in there, by what your soil test has came back as. Okay, so we want to mention that you're going to, like I said, going to amend to that. And what I mean is 1,000 square foot, 500 square foot, whatever you're going to work with. If it's 1,000 square foot, or you're working in 1,000 square foot ranges, then you're going to put down. You're going to tell that person, well, you're going to do it in 1,000 square foot. That person will come up with it, add 1,000 square foot for you, and then if you're working at let's say you're working at 500, they'll do 1,000 square foot. You'll just cut the amounts in half to do your 500 square foot. But again, they'll talk to you about that, and they'll tell you exactly what you need to know. We want to talk about the broad forking and the tilling again real quick. Broad forking is a great way to get this soil alive, aerated, and working. Again, adding those beneficials to it. I'll take you around here in a minute. We'll show you some beneficials and stuff like that. Like we did with the mycelium down there. But the most important thing is to try to keep this soil active and alive. So whenever we till all this, we're going to, or whenever we broad fork all this, we're going to plant a cover crop down, and we're going to spray a liquid compost on here from Previgenics. You guys, if you're not using Previgenics liquid compost, I highly encourage you to. I've been using it for the past 2 years now, and it's worked out really well. It's got several different microbes in it and trace minerals in it and stuff like that. It works really good. You can use it to start compost piles. I use it also to spray on my patches to get them started that season. So last season we put stuff down here, alfalfa and stuff like that down. I sprayed it heavily with it, left it set for 4 or 5 days, come through, tilled it in, and had a cover crop growing on it. And you'll see in a couple months. You can go back and check my videos from last year and see that video or see those videos on how I did this. But we had a better cover crop over here, poor cover crop over there last year. This year it's kind of reverse roles. It's got a little bit better over here, and it's really poor this way. Nevertheless, this is going to be the same thing that we're going to do. We're going to come in. We're going to put our cover crop down. We're going to broad fork it, put our cover crop down, spray that cover crop with the liquid compost, let it come up and grow. We're going to get the leaves from over there, mulch and bag them. We're going to cut grass and bag it, throw all that stuff on here, let this cover crop get up about 8 inches or so, maybe taller. Come in, mow it down, mow it down, mow it down, mulch it up real good, come through, broad fork it again, then come and start laying our amendments and stuff in here, okay? So this is going to be a month and a half long process, maybe even longer, but it will be a process nevertheless, and you're going to get to see how all that transfers into growing a big pumpkin, but you're also going to see what stages we do what in. So stay tuned for those videos, but this is just going in sequence of what we do. We're going to take you inside. I'm going to do a video again this year. I do them every year on sanding your seeds, soaking your seeds, and planting your seeds. Okay, so we're going to do a video on that, sanding and soaking, coming up probably the next day or so, and we'll get that put out to you guys so you guys can see how do you sand your seed, how do you soak your seed, and sanding seeds versus unsanding seeds, soaked versus unsoaked, and you guys are going to get to see all that and how that transfers into you having a better and healthier pumpkin. So stay tuned for that video as well. But we're not going to talk about it. We just wanted to mention that today. Okay, so you got your soil test, your biologicals, your soil amendments, your broad forking, tilling. Then you got your sanding seeds and soaking and planting the seeds. The next thing you're going to want is, we're going to go around and we're going to look at all this stuff in just a second, but you're going to want walking boards, okay? Walking boards keeps you up off the soil so you're not compacting the soil. Technically, I shouldn't even be walking in here right now, because especially with it being wet, because I'm doing nothing but compacting that soil. But where I got to go through and break it up, it's okay. There are some things that I'm going to be doing this year that I'm going to put into place that I believe are really going to help concentrate the aeration, okay? And the reason why I say that is I've got this idea to use PVC pipes, okay, sewer pipe, 6 to 8 inch sewer pipe, and cut them about 16 inches in length. So they'll be about 6 to 8 inches round, 16 inches long. Drill them full of holes, okay? Buy me a cap that goes on the top of it and put them every so many feet in the patch, okay? So you go through, you put your cover crop and all that stuff down. You're getting ready to plant your pumpkins. And I'm going to stick these tubes in there. Now, you'll have to cap off the top because you don't want a lot of rain or anything like that being in there. You don't want anything digging in it either. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put those here and there throughout the patch. The reason why I'm going to do that is this yard is full of worms. Guys, you can go back and check several videos from last year, and even some, I think just the other day I posted some videos that had some of the worms in it. Literally, you can walk through this yard anytime after it's rained during the nighttime, and you'll see it'll be moving. The ground will look like it's moving because there's so many worms. Now, there's a lot of worms in here, but they don't stay in here. They go all over the yard, right? And so what I want to do is I want to take these little PVC pipes, 16 inches long, and place them, I'm thinking like every 10 foot or so, right? You buy a 10-foot section, cut them 16 inches. You get several chunks out of that. You drill you some holes about ½ inch in size through them, okay? And what you do is you place these, every 10 foot or so in your patch, all right? And you fill them full of scraps and coffee grounds and stuff like that can be composted, that worms like. And what you're going to do is you're going to slowly start to drag all them worms in here because you're going to have constant food in here. It's going to be composting while you're growing, okay? It's composting under the ground while you're growing. the worms come to it to eat and do their thing, and then you are constantly feeding it, and the plants are going to be growing and stuff. It's going to cause aeration from the worms crawling through to find them, and going from one place to the next within your patch. All right, so you got aeration. You're going to have worm castings because they're going to constantly poop. They're going to constantly stay there because there's food there. There's a food source there. So you're going to be dragging these worms from all over the yard into that spot, right? And if you've got, let's say this area right here holds, I don't know, let's say it holds 20 of these little contraptions. Well, you'll have 20 different bait stations, if you want to call it that, for your worms that they're just going to be crawling all over, going back and forth, right? And you can, like, maybe you put one that's full of coffee grounds, maybe you put one that's full of banana peels, maybe you put one that's full of orange peels or something else, right? And maybe you do them, some of them that's full of everything, right? And worms can kind of pick and choose where they want to go, and you're causing that aeration, right? You're causing them to work back and forth. So that's just an idea I had, and I think it's going to work because after I had that idea and wanted to do this, I seen that Ollie Garden actually has these boxes that are made to go in your raised bed like that. So if it works in a raised bed, then I know that this tube idea would work for my patch. All right, so we're going to do that. So want to talk to you about that. So you got to have your walking boards, and to stay off the soil. You don't want to compact it, but then you got to get these little bait stations for your worms and stuff to kind of help keep your soil aerated, plus feeding your soil at the same time and composting at the same time. Then you want to want mice traps and poison. Okay, I cannot stress to you enough. Don't wait for the problem to occur. Don't wait to find the problem. Just go on ahead and put it out there so that you never have the problem to begin with. Last year, right here, I believe it is right here. Uh, yeah, right in this area right here, was the 1883 Bayou. In fact, yeah, right here's the stump. Right there's the stump of the 1883 Bayou right there. Then there's the stump of the 2350 Ginger. And so that stump rotted out. But before it rotted out, I had found mice, a big old hole, right? Well, it wasn't mouse. It was a chipmunk. And a chipmunk had effectively came in here and dug a hole in the stump, in the pumpkin stump, had effectively dug a hole in the pumpkin stump and caused me some issues with that plant. And it didn't hurt the 2350 as bad as it did the 1883, but it did affect it some. And so I kept trying to catch it and kill it and stuff, and just wasn't ever able. So what I did is I set poison out all through here, and some traps, some mice traps. And then I put poison along the house and stuff, and up in the other patch up where the squash are and stuff. We covered it with poison and mice traps all over this yard. Eventually, I did start finding several chipmunks dead, found tons of mice that had died. So, guys, let me tell you something. The thorn in your side is going to be the things you can't see, the things you don't know, okay? And I would hate for any of you guys to get this big pumpkin growing, okay, and go out there one day and find a hole in it, right? Or you to grow this great big pumpkin. Scott Bayou grow this 2356, I believe is what it was in 2021. Big, big, beautiful pumpkin, and would have been his state record there, but he lost it because it had a mouse hole in it. And guys, that just tore me up for him, because I hate to see growers go through something like that. All that hard work, the whole season that was put into that thing, and a mouse can destroy it, guys. And just like that, just go on ahead and put the poisons out. If you don't want the poisons laid out, put them in bait traps of some sort, right? Like to where they can come in and eat the mouse poison bait out of that bait box and then leave, or whatever you got to do to feel comfortable with it. But I highly encourage you to put the mouse traps and the poison out, because if you do not, you will have issues, whether it's chipmunks or it's mice or it's rats, whatever. Now, the next thing that you're going to want to watch out for, because those are the varmints you can see, or the varmints you can't see until they get you. Now, the next thing that I want to, kind of talk about as far as, pests is going to be gophers, deer, and rabbits. Okay, rabbits will decimate your plant. So will deer. Groundhogs, I don't know that they eat the plant as much as they'll eat your fruit. Okay, so you got to be careful of that. Todd Dawson in 2021, I think it was, grew a really big, nice pumpkin, and he got disqualified because he had gaping holes the size of my fist in that thing from a groundhog. All right, so there's this stuff called bone sauce. Okay, it's called bone sauce, guys. I'm telling you right now, I'm not paid or anything from this guy. He's a YouTuber. His channel is called Permaculture. Oh gosh, I can't think of it right now. I'll put it right here. All right, but you go and check him out. It's called Bone Sauce. They make this stuff themselves. They are permaculturalists. They're YouTubers. Excuse me. They're homesteaders, and they're great at what they do. Um, he's really good. Permaculture pastures, I think is what it's called. Maybe that's what it is. Permaculture pastures. Um, he's a really, really smart, intelligent guy. I really like him. Got great content. But they make this stuff called bone sauce, guys. It lasts literally for years, not days, not weeks, but years, okay? And all you got to do is you buy this jar of bone sauce. Now, they run out of it really quick, okay? So if they've got it, you better buy it up. Don't wait, buy it now because they'll run out of it. It might be a little while before they get it back in. They make this stuff out of their pigs and stuff, all right? And guys, it is the best repellent for deer, rabbits, and gophers you've ever seen. I mean, ever seen. You guys, they paint this stuff on their trees and they quit eating the trees. Everything quits eating it. The rabbits quit browsing on it. The deer quit browsing on it. Nothing wants to touch it, okay? Well, I could put that stuff all around my perimeter, all right, of my whole yard. No rabbit will come in, no deer will come in, and no gopher will come in, okay? They smell it. They don't want nothing to do with it, all right? So I highly encourage you guys to be looking at that name, the permaculture, like I said, permaculture pastures is I believe what it's called, and go get you some bone sauce and put that around your plants. All right, even if maybe you don't have a fence like this, maybe you just got some posts or some trees or whatever, paint that stuff on. All right, and keep them at bay. If you have to, maybe take some stakes, some wooden stakes, and drive every so often and paint that with it and just keep them away. It's the best deer repellent and stuff you'll ever see. And guys, again, you can go to his channel and check it out for yourself. And like I said, I don't get paid from him. I've never talked to the man, but I know it works, and I'm trying to help you guys out. Now, the next thing that we're going to want to talk about is meat skewers or dowel rods. You say, well, Ryan, I'm not in the kitchen, and I'm not working out in the wood shop, so why do I need meat skewers or dowel rods? All right, guys, well, these pumpkin plants, they have to be trained. You can let them go wild and do their thing if you want to. Highly discourage you do that, all right, because it's going to be a mess, and you're not going to be able to keep up with it. You're not going to be able to cut the tertiaries off. You're not going to be able to find fruit where they're at. It'll end up being a jungle, and you won't get the biggest pumpkin you've ever grown if you do that. Now, if you take and go get you some meat skewers, I like the thick wooden meat skewers. That's the ones I use. Some people use dowel rods, long dowel rods, and they just stick them in the ground. I don't really like the dowel rods as much. I should probably buy them and use them. I just think they're kind of wonky to try to work with when I'm out here. I'd rather, be up close personal, just do it like that. So anyhow, but you can use either one you want. You can use dowel rods or you can use the meat skewers. But you want to use those to train your vines. And what you do is you just put an X over your vine. All right, you put the vine the way you want it to run, put the X over it, and you just keep training the tip of the vine, your secondaries and your main. You train them like that. Now, I got plenty of videos on that as well, and there'll be plenty more to come this season. If you're interested in them, check them out now. If not, you can wait till we begin the season and you'll see those. I will show you, however, what those meat skewers look like in just a minute. Now, the other thing you're going to want to get is you're going to want a stirrup hoe. A stirrup hoe can be your friend. All right, now, if you don't want to use, like me, I'm not going to use a stirrup hoe this year. I'm going to use the turtle, okay? And the reason why I'm going to use the turtle is because the stirrup hoe for me, if I'm using that stirrup hoe and I'm getting those roots, okay, pulled out of there, I'm going under the root right here on the plant level, okay, and I'm pulling that up, all right, well, I'm getting at least at the minimum, a half inch of soil when I go under and cut that, all right. Majority of the time, it's an inch and a half, when I go in with that. And you can try to keep it, as topped as possible, running right along the top of the soil. The problem is, especially if you're in heavier soils like clay or silt, that the pumpkin, like we talked about earlier, the roots come up to the top of the soil and ride the top of the soil trying to get that air, okay? And so because they're riding at the top of the soil or very, very close to the top of the soil, anytime that I would go in there and cut with that stirrup hoe, I am then effectively cutting out or messing up my root zones from my pumpkin plants, and I don't want to do that anymore. So I highly encourage you, if you're using a stirrup hoe to maybe, and you got soil that's like mine, and maybe even not like mine, because I think even looser soils, there's a space there where pumpkin roots are up there closer to the top as well. But I highly encourage you guys to go and look at the turtle. It's Tertill. I'll show you that in just a minute as well. But that little turtle machine is awesome, guys. We're getting ready to do a full review on that coming up in just a little bit. It'll be out in probably about a month or so. But guys, everything that I've seen out of that little thing, it works, and it's a handy dandy little tool to have, and I'm loving it. The best part about it is you can see in the video that I had put out earlier on it for the unboxing of the turtle, you can see where it would effectively go into the plant and not really harm your plant any. It'll be able to fit in between each secondary and do its job, bump up against the vines, and turn around and come out. It shouldn't be any problem at all right? Especially from what I've already seen from it. Now, we are going to be testing it and looking at it and how it does in there, and I think we're going to see the same thing. This keeps you out of your soil. It keeps you from using that stirrup hoe and cutting your necessary roots off that are rising up toward the top, maybe for oxygen or whatever they're doing from your pumpkin plants. And it just helps you ensure that you're getting the weeds out of there, or you're keeping the weeds knocked down without harming any of the root zone that you've created. Now, the other part of this is using a cover crop. Plant that cover crop in there and let your cover crop do its thing. Send the turtle in and let the turtle kind of cut the grass for you, so to speak, because it's constantly spinning while it's in there, and let it cut that cover crop down. Cover crop's going to do a couple things. It's going to keep you nice and healthy in the root zone and stuff, right? It's going to keep you cooler in the daytime temperatures. It's going to keep you warmer at the nighttime temperatures in your root zone. It's going to hold moisture better. You're going to have an overall better, healthier plant from what I can gather and what I've seen thus far from doing it. So highly encourage you to add the cover crop, use the turtle, let it go in, cut the plants down to a decent height to where they can, survive and live and do their thing, but they're not being a nuisance, okay? So highly encourage that. But if you can't do that, you don't want to do that, whatever, stirrup hoe will work. Just know of the disadvantages to the stirrup hoe. Now, the next thing that we're going to talk about, most growers don't mention this stuff. They don't mention it until they're already doing it, and by the time they're already doing it, you may have already needed to do it. I know I'm guilty of it. I've never really talked about this in depth and stuff. But you're going to need the following. Fans, 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 fans. Yes, I said fans 15 times. Why? Because you're going to need a lot of fans. And I do mean a lot of fans. The next thing you're going to need a lot of is extension cords. Why? Because for every one of them fans you're running, you're going to have to run that many more extension cords. What else are you going to need? Surge protectors. Only because you need to put a bunch of daggone extension cords in it and run them to all your pumpkins. Guys, if you go back to my last year's videos, you'll see that I had like 4 fans on the 2350, 3 or 4 fans on the 1883. I had another 2 fans on the 2195, another 2 or 3 fans on the 1965, and God only knows how many I had down there. Now, there's many different fans that you guys are going to want to look at. I highly encourage you to look at the inline fans. We're going to show you a setup that we have up here of an inline fan and how we use that and how we work with it. But I highly encourage you to get an inline fan. You can use dryer duct, and you can be more direct and stuff. And I use those specifically on the stem area. The inline fans do great for stem jobs, okay? Any kind of issues I'm having with the stem, the inline fan is the go-to fan for my stem issues. It helps keep them dry, and it's located right there. I can funnel it right there. All the power right on that one spot, and it gets right to that area, and without having to have fan going everywhere. Now, the next kind of fan that I like to use is a box fan, and you can use a box fan for several different things. One, box fans are great before blossom ends. You just blow it on that blossom end, keep that blossom end nice and dry and healthy, and it works, okay? They really do work, and you're keeping the entire area of that pumpkin dry, okay? Now, you should be building stuff over that pumpkin. We'll talk about that later, but I don't build stuff over every one of my pumpkins either. Just a select few, I build something over, and I keep the rest of them. We'll talk about it in a second. So you are going to want to do, fans. You're going to want to have those box fans. You are going to want to have inline fans. Trust me, guys, you're going to want the inline and the box fans. Now, I do have a couple directional ones that you can go up and down with, okay? You might even want oscillating fans if you're so inclined. I highly encourage you guys to talk to your mamas, your papas, your aunts, your uncles, your brothers, your sisters, whoever, your friends and all that, and even go to yard sales, thrift stores, and garage sales, estate sales and stuff, and see if you can't pick up some good fans that are working and cheap, all right, and extension cords working and cheap. Or maybe even they'll give them to you free if it's, family member or something. But you're going to need the fans. And I would say, just to be cautious, you're going to want one inline fan per plant. You're going to want at least one box fan per plant, okay? That's just being cautious. Me, like I said, I had one up here on the stump. I had one blowing down the center of the plant because we had a lot of rain. And guys, if you got a lot of rain, you need to dry that plant off. You need to get that daggone the center of the plant dried off. You need to keep the whole inside of that plant circulating. It keeps from having disease issues. It keeps from having rot issues because you can't dry it out fast enough. So the best thing you can do is take and run fans. It sounded like a freaking beehive out here last year. All the fans, like a helicopter was coming over and just hovering over the patch. All right, because there were so many fans last year. Like I said, I blow them down. Like if you got a stump issue, you got one on the stump. Then you blow one straight down the center of the plant, and then you'll have one on the stump, or excuse me, not one on the blossom end and one on the stem end. Okay, well that's 4 of them right there. And then if you got any other issues on a secondary or somewhere else, you just got a fan there too. Okay, so there's a lot of fans. All right, and that's the reason why you need so many fans and so many extension cords. Don't wait. Just go on ahead and start buying up fans if you can as you find them. Maybe you find some on sale or something right now. So that's another good one that I wanted to talk about. The next thing you're going to want to get is paint brushes. Get you several paint brushes because you're going to need them to clean spots off with, dust spots off. You go out there and dust it off, or even use it to paint Daconil on your stuff, okay? Just get you some paint brushes, some cheap paint brushes. You're going to need spray bottles. I would recommend at least 2 spray bottles. One for your bleach solution or peroxide solution, whichever one you prefer. I use a bleach solution, and it's worked out so far for the past 2 years, and I don't see me changing. I may play around with peroxide again. I don't know. I didn't have very good results with peroxide, and that's why I used the bleach solution. Now, do not use straight bleach. You do have to use a bleach solution, and I think I use it at a 1 to 5 ratio or something like that is what I use. I have to go back and look, but nevertheless, it works, and it works well. The other spray bottle you're going to want to keep like Daconil or some kind of fungicide in. You can just go out there, spray it, and be done with it, okay? Say you got a couple spots here and there, and you don't really need to paint it on. You just need to spray it on. Anyhow, so again, Daconil, your spray bottles are going to be for your Daconil, your bleach, and your peroxide solutions, whichever one of the bleach or peroxide solution you choose. Shade cloth. Highly encourage if you live down in the south or you live in a place where it gets very, very hot. Say you live in the center of town and there's a lot of concrete buildings and stuff around you, you're going to want shade cloth. Highly encourage you to go get your shade cloths. You can get them from multiple places. I got several 10 by 20s, and I used 30% shade cloths. Okay, anything more just than great. Went up there to end this video or take you guys around and show you some stuff real quick. And the freaking video had ended up here at the spray bottle. So you're going to need shade cloth, all right? I'm going to try to hurry up along and get this done. You're going to need shade cloth. You want to put that shade cloth up and get it out over your plants. Shade cloth will help protect from the sun. You might want to think about putting it on some sort of a pergola system where you can pull it back if you need to. Maybe put it out at 11 o'clock in the morning, pull it back off of your plants at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening or whatever you need to do there. But I highly encourage you thinking about being able to make it a mobile shade cloth as opposed to just stationary for X amount of time. All right, because I did that the past 2 years and it hurt me. Can't really dive deep into it now because we're running out of sun and out of time because of the stupid thing here. But anyhow, you're going to want sheets and blankets. Make sure you put light colors first. If you got dark colored blankets, put the dark colored ones on the pumpkin first, and then take your lighter colored and put on top of those. Make sure, though, that you have enough layers of light colors over top of that dark, that dark will not get any of the heat directed it and draw that extra heat into it. And because if you do, you will literally burn that pumpkin up, okay? And I do mean burn it up, okay? Either that or you need to have several layers, like you guys will see me use a big sleeping bag toward the fall to cover a pumpkin up and stuff. But when I use it, I have several layers of protection underneath the pumpkin or underneath that big sleeping bag. I have four or five layers up underneath there, and then I put that sleeping bag on top. So it's not hurting anything, but it can. And if you ain't careful and if you're not checking on that, you can get direct sunlight there on that specific thing, on that specific blanket or whatever you're using, and it will burn your pumpkin up and leave a real mushy spot there. So you got to be very, very careful not to not to do that. All right. But again, like I said, use your dark ones first. If you're worried about it, use the dark ones first, and then cover it up with the lighter colors. That way you don't burn your pumpkin up. You're going to need T-post to build a shade type of thing around your pumpkin. All right. Essentially, what you do is you take 4 T-posts, you put them, make a box, and then you use sheets or whatever you got to hang, and you'll have to use clamps and stuff like that, and you'll put those up, and those will hold the pumpkin up there, so you don't mess up your pumpkin. It just helps give that extra protection, that extra shade, and keeps it dry. All right, it keeps it dry from rain and stuff. Some people even use plastic, and then they take the plastic and stuff, keep it up high so you're not getting any direct light through there and burn your pumpkin up. But make sure you cover your pumpkin if you do use plastic. There's several different ways to do it, but last year you guys can see my video on how I done it. I just took the 4 T-posts, built it out of flat sheets, and worked quite well. I liked it a lot. Again, you'll need binder clips and clamps. I'll have to show you those. Dirty socks. So dirty socks come from Mark Clements. He's the grandfather to dirty socks. Guys, I can tell you right now that every set of pumpkins I grew with dirty socks grew my biggest pumpkin. Without a doubt, it put the biggest pumpkin out on the ground and at the scale. Okay, so essentially what you're doing is that pumpkin, as it grows up and grows taller, it's pulling roots at every node with it. Okay, as it gets taller, it's pulling the vine up with it, and the root nodes are popping. So every time you bust that root, the thought of this is there's a plumbing link from one node to the next node, and when you cut that node off, or you just let it air dry and die, you have essentially hurt the plumbing link from one to the next, and thus it hurts your pumpkin. Now, I can't prove this, and I don't know anybody that can, but there is a lot of people behind the fact that is true. And there's people that says it don't matter, and I can grow a 2,400-pound pumpkin. I don't know. All right, but any advantage that if it can help me 0.1%, I'm going to do it because it don't take that long. Essentially, all you do is you take your old socks, and you simply, when you get your plant coming up and your pumpkin's growing and you're pulling your vine up, let's try this again for the freaking 3rd time now. Gee, me Christmas. Aggravating me now, boys, gals. Getting a little ticked off because I do that and it ends. So anyhow, I was talking about Bubba's Dirty Socks. Again, you can check out his channel, Keep It Secret Home and Gardening. Check out those dirty socks and you'll see they work. Okay, you just let as the plant grow or the pumpkin grows, it pulls the nodes up out of the ground. You tease those roots up out, put them down in a sock, fill the sock full of compost, and let it do its thing. I'm not going to go back through all that again. Foam boards. I'm not going to talk about all that again, but just real quick, you can get you some foam boards. I highly encourage you using foam boards. It works. I'd use at least 1 inch thick, if not bigger. 1.5 inches would be better. Try not, if you can, get the actual foam and not the styrofoam. I've been using styrofoam for the past 2 years, and it does not last or work as well as the regular foam boards. So try to get you some regular foam boards. I'm not going to talk about all that crap again because I done did it 3 times and I'm fed up with it. Play sand. You are going to need play sand. Play sand, again, I'm not going to talk about it the third time, but it allows the pumpkin to slide on glass. It's like sliding on glass. It just lets that pumpkin slide right on along as it grows. And you can use mill fabric if you can find mill fabric, you can use it instead of the foam. But it's very, very expensive and it's hard to find. But it does work, and it works from one season to the next, to the next, to the next. Very, very good material. Allows water to soak through and everything. You can see all my videos on how to set up a pumpkin using foam board and sand from last year and the year before, and I'll be making videos again this year on that. Now, the next thing you're going to need is a lifting ring. Highly encourage you guys to go and check out Jeff's Giant Growing Journal on the lift ring and see what all he has over there. And if you need a lift ring, you can get one. I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. But you definitely are going to need something to lift that pumpkin with, and a lift ring is about the only way you can do it. You're also going to need a lifting apparatus. You'll see my lifting apparatus down here in just a second. I got my idea from Chad News lifting apparatus. You can check out Chad News channel right here on YouTube as well, Chad New. And then one more I meant to mention earlier was Scott Bayuk's channel. Check out Scott Growing Giants with Scott, and it's another good channel, very good grower, and very knowledgeable about what he's doing and stuff over there. So go check out his channel as well. And then disease control and fertilizers. So I'm not going to go back through all this again. I've done talked about it at great length, and my freaking camera wasn't working, and I'm not doing it the third time. So what do you want? Well, you want good, healthy soil. How do you get a good, healthy soil? You work with it, and you work it every year from one year to the next, and you continue to build it until you have a excellent soil. I was told by the best tomato grower in the world, probably, who grew the 16.99 pound, almost 17 pound tomato. He said, Ryan, if your soil has no disease, then your plants have no disease, and you will have no pests. And I was like, what? And he was like, here's the thing. Plants are only being attacked by pests when they have got disease. And I said, my plants look healthy. They don't got no disease. He said, you might not see the disease, but the disease is there, or the bugs wouldn't be after them. Okay, all right. That makes sense. That makes sense. So there's a helpful tip right there. It tells you a lot about my plants inside, right? There was no disease in that soil. I wouldn't be having any problems with aphids and fungus gnats now, would I? So, or very, very unlikely. So anyhow, you want good, healthy soil. How do you get that? You got to stop using chemical stuff as much. Now, I mean, you can do what you want, but we're tied in with some really good companies now. Previgenics, we're tied in with Stan Lee and Natural Earth and Bare Grounds with Trinity, with the Trident's Pride, fish emulsions and stuff. Great, and others, great companies. And guys, we're gonna be showing you guys what that stuff does for your soil and how it helps turn crappy soil like this into some good stuff over the upcoming years. Okay, now guys, this will be the third year that this has been grown on, and I got high expectations for it. Really high expectations for it. It can only get better, right? And the more I quit using those things on there, imidacloprid and Eagle 20, the less I use that stuff, and the more I go with more natural things like Monterey's BT and Spinoside and stuff like that, the healthier my soil will be. All right. I only have the imidacloprid and the Eagle 20 for in case of an emergency break here. Okay. That's the only reason why I have it, because if I don't need it, I won't use it. It scares me to death to have that stuff or even be around it. You can be out here using it, the wind changed a little bit, and there it is. So, guys, I highly encourage using that stuff. The Monterey stuff and everything. So we're going to get out of here. Again, I'm done talking about all this. I'll take you around, show you some of the stuff. Got a beautiful sunset, and we'll maybe come out here with the drone and get some clips of that. So let me hop off here and show you some stuff. Look at that! Look at that! Look at that! Ain't that beautiful? Absolutely gorgeous. Beautiful. Anyhow, let me see here. Take you over here. I'm going to show you some walking boards and scales and stuff that you might need. These walking boards here, just go get you some rough cut lumber. No need to go to the Lowe's and buy good lumber. Find somebody in your area that has rough cut lumber. all right, or has a sawmill and makes rough cut. Get these boards like this. Take you a board. Take you these right here are landscape timbers that I resalvaged, and take and cut them to the width of the board and nail them on. And that right there will keep it off of the ground, keep you off the ground, and then you can take your vines underneath them. All right, so they're elevated platform of sorts. All right, so I use those for my walking boards. Here is my lifting apparatus right here. All right, there's the lifting apparatus. Again, I got that from Chad New. Now mine was 16 foot tall, and I cut what was it, 5 foot, made 11 foot. 11 foot tall is perfect to get the pumpkins in the back of the truck, and it's 12 foot wide though. And I probably should take it and make it a little less, but I'm not going to fool with it right now. I will sturdy this up though. We will make it stronger and sturdier. We'll put braces from each leg going up at an angle, and sturdy that support beam up some. While we're here, here's an inline fan and T-posts. For those of you who ain't never seen a T-post, there's a T-post. All right, that's what a T-post looks like. Here's my inline fan. It's a big one. It's a 6-inch one here. Let me see. Here we go. And it works great. You can see right here, we've got the tube here, and we just angle that tube right on to wherever we need it at, and we tie it on with we use stakes to help kind of support that vent, and then we just direct it wherever we need it on that stem. So let's go inside and take a look at some more stuff. There's some wooden skewers that we use. We save them from one year to the next if they're salvageable. This is styrofoam foam board, which I do not recommend getting. It's 1 inch thick. It works, but you can see it's styrofoam, and it just breaks apart so easy. This is the kind of foam we're going to get this year. It's actual foam. All right, you can see it there. This is too thin though. We're going to get 1 inch thick stuff. But this stuff, you can't hardly tear it up. All right, it doesn't. It's not like styrofoam. The sun doesn't kill it and make it worthless. All right, so that's the kind you want, not this. But if you have to get this, I totally understand. All right, but if you want it to last from 1 year to the next, that's the kind you want right there. Lift ring right there. That's the ring that I got off of Jeff, that I bought from Jeff Tile. Jeff Tile makes these. You can guys, again, you can check him out on Jeff's Giant Growing Journal. And it works, guys. It really, really works. It works really good. I like it. Straps are there. Cinch rope's there. Everything's there that you need to be successful. All right. There's some mycorrhiza right there that we were talking about from Extreme Gardening. There's some azos right here that we were talking about from Extreme Gardening. Scale right here. It's a Weaver. All right. It's a crane scale. It works. I think I'm going to try to buy a bigger and better one this year, though. I think that's a 2-ton. Ain't it? Yeah. Oh, something I didn't mention. I forgot to mention. You got to have a chain hoist. All right. So here's my chain hoist right here. Got to have this. It's a Weaver chain hoist, 2-ton. All right. It's a 2-ton chain hoist. This goes onto the chain that you've seen out there on my lifting apparatus, on my gantry. This hooks to that chain, and then this end right here hooks to the lift ring. All right, and that's how you lift. All right, or unless you're going to use the scale, and then you would hook the scale to this, and then the scale to the lift ring. So, but you do need a chain hoist for sure. All right. Pretty. Very pretty, very pretty. All right, guys. So we appreciate you watching, and we'll see you tomorrow right here in the hollers and hills of West Virginia. See ya.
Don't forget to smash that like button, that notification bell.
Good job. Here you go. Thank you. Don't forget to share. Yep. There you go. Good job. And subscribe.